Welcome, friends. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for tuning into the Optimal Health Program today. As you know, we'll take your calls and chats and texts and see what's on your mind. We'll cover some great topics today. Two studies and things that we were looking at. One of them talks about metformin, which is a medication to help to control blood sugar used for diabetics as a first-line drug, may decrease the effectiveness of exercise if you're taking the metformin. So there are ways to sort of get around that, and I wanted to be able to talk about the entire picture, not just a drug and the exercise. Talk about diet, your hormones, everything else that's going on at the same time to try to get you the best outcome for lowering your blood sugar and flooding oxygen and nutrients and all the good things and hormones to your cells. Another great study on how heart damage and a marker called troponin is linked to dementia. So there are a variety of markers that are heart disease markers or that correlate with heart disease that also correlate with brain-related changes and dementia. So we'll talk about both of those, of course. We're going to keep the lines open here to take your calls or your messages. 1-888-420-9272 is the phone number if you'd like to call in. And the office number, 516-794-0404, if you'd like to call. The office isn't open today, but leave your message, of course, and we'll get back to you first thing tomorrow morning. Website, drcalapai.com. Going to be putting a few landing pages up soon because we're talking about sort of a comprehensive approach to both Medicare and non-Medicare patients for wellness and longevity. And this hasn't been done before, but we're looking to incorporate, certainly right off the bat for Medicare, utilizing blood pressure cuffs, glucometers, smartwatch, smart ring now, which actually turns out to be a terrific option for monitoring some of your vitals, and being able to have this go directly to our computer for our patients so we can track all those parameters. For doctors, I think the one thing that we'd love to have is information and data. So if you go to the doctor 3 times a year and you see 3 blood pressure readings, it's not terribly accurate as to what's going on every day for the year. So when individuals check their blood pressure at home or their blood sugar or their pulse ox, any of these markers, even temperature, a scale that can connect so we can track person's weight, especially if they have heart failure and such. If they're gaining weight, it means it may be from the fluid affecting their heart. To have these things sent to the doctor's office and the computer, if there's an abnormal, I get notified and we can just address your problems and work right with that immediately in real time rather than waiting for something bad to happen and a person going to the ER for a gigantic cost. And Medicare doesn't like the gigantic cost, of course. So it's just a far greater way to be able to watch patients, track, prevent, and fix things before they become the problem. In doing the testing that we do, it goes way beyond what traditionally doctors would do, the basic CBC and chemistry. Sometimes I'll look at 2 things for thyroid. I'll look at 10 different things for thyroid. So it's a lot of information that we can impart into the picture so we can show you how we can fine-tune and fix your picture. So let's go to the article. This is a great study.
People want to know if the smart ring comes in gold, Doc.
They come in all different colors, gold, titanium, black. I even saw one that was like a pinkish champagne color for those who are fashion conscious. And, you know, you may want to get a couple of them just to be able to change depending upon your outfit. There are many fashion conscious people out there. As our friend from Florida had told us a while back with my nice light blue, beautiful check blazer.
I missed that guy.
Yeah. So the number of people that have heart disease worldwide is staggering. Many, probably hundreds of millions. And there are markers that you can do to check for cardiac degeneration or weakness. One of them is called galectin. If this is elevated, it means that your heart may be struggling. BNP, B-natriuretic peptide, is a protein inside your heart muscle cells, and if they're damaged, they leak that protein into the blood. So we can look at that. That's also for heart failure, arrhythmias. Troponin is an important indicator of cardiac degeneration or damage. And looking at this marker also can correlate with what may be occurring in the brain leading to dementia. It doesn't have to happen right away. It can take a little bit of time for the dementia to set in, but when we get older, a variety of different things are allowing our organs to change, lose new cell function, not receive as much blood flow. Inflammatory circumstance can occur from heavy metals, from infection, from a wide range of different things. So in this study, with over 60,000 participants, the Whitehall study, they were looking at cardiac troponin number 1 in the blood. The highest level of troponin was linked to 38% increase risk of dementia. So for doctors that are forward-thinking, and there still might be some out there, like myself, we want to do the troponin levels to see what they look like, just as we would do C-reactive protein, just as we would look at homocysteine, fibrinogen, vitamins, heavy metals. All of these things, when they start to get out of whack, create significant risk. So if you have significant exposure, lead, mercury, cadmium, nickel, arsenic, aluminum, any of these things, cesium, gadolinium, which are used for medical tests, the accumulation of heavy metals damages tissue. We know that they cause a bunch of different cancers, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, MS, a variety of bad things. So when the metals attach to your cell membrane, to receptors, they're displacing minerals because they're the same charge, 2+ charge, 3+ charge. So as they displace the minerals, your minerals can't work in the cell the way they should, and that creates a big problem. So as I say, there's a lot more to this, but we can look at different parameters to see where you're headed and then change all of them. This is what I've always done. In all the years of being in practice, we looked at all of the markers, correct them, take away the risk, put in the good, get the nutrient levels in perfect range, prove that they're in perfect range, and that's how you change the progression of many of these things. So although this is a great study and a great new comment, we also have to look at similar tests. Again, heavy metals, BNP, peptide, natriuretic peptide, looking at homocysteine, fibrinogen, C-reactive protein, all your vitamins. If they're low, free radical damage is high. Hormone decline, you're losing the signals that get to your cells and your organs to get them to work correctly. So there are a variety of things on board that we have to take a look at.
Someone just wondering, they said that dementia runs in their family. How much of that is actually genetic versus lifestyle?
It's hard to say. So there are probably 20% of patients that I see, maybe 25%, where there's some familial component. But that doesn't mean it has to be a genetic thing that's non-changeable, like the color of your eyes and your parents' eyes, how much your bone structure looks like your mom or your dad. Those are non-changeable. Hair color, original hair color, because some people color their hair, and it's a whole different color from what they were born with. But it also has a lot to do with food, with exposure to things. So let's say a family lives in an old house, and the house has lead pipes. You may be getting lead exposure. If they go out and eat fast foods, you're getting a lot of junk in your diet. You know, if you're a young person as well with the parents, they go out and eat junk food, that's bad. If there's well water, then that may be suspect because there are things that can contaminate well water. Heavy metal exposure, certainly, from chicken, shrimp, rice, apples, California wine. So the family correlated thing might not just be purely genetic. These other components may add to it, and then it would display sooner as opposed to just having one underlying cause. So that's why we look at all of it. So we always look at that for a possibility, but it's kind of hard to say that it could only be this in the face of having heavy metals on board, declining hormones, and a lot of other things. So we have to look at all of that. And there's a ton of research on the heavy metals causing cancers and Alzheimer's and all sorts of horrible things. So we have to look at all those things and look at them in your system and then take that and change the mechanism.
Just a follow-up, someone said, I've been told I have a copy of the APOE4. Mm-hmm. What does that mean for my risk?
Well, that's a genetic mechanism. The APO4 allele correlates with that a dysfunction or a defect in the allele, so that may increase your risk. It doesn't mean that you have to have a full-blown horrendous outcome, but I would like to look at all of those things I just mentioned, get them out of the picture, So you're taking away the secondary, tertiary, quaternary reasons for damaging your brain and allowing the dementia to progress.
Someone said that they have an identical twin. Do they have the same dementia outcome, or can their lifestyles lead to totally different paths?
I think the lifestyle is really important, and it can lead to different paths. I've seen this where, studies have shown this, where people are separated at birth, and one went to one family, another went to another family. Great diet, exercise, all the good things, not the good things in the other person, bad things, and they grow up, with completely different health parameters. So that can happen. So genes can't control whether or not you'll be heavy from eating all the bad foods and junk food. That'll typically happen to anybody. Genes can't control your cholesterol if you're eating tons of carb or you have metals on board or all the things that we know correlate with the progression of the cholesterol and the plaque. So the genetic picture is important, but it's also lifestyle, diet, exercise. I think those are bigger controllers.
Got a YouTube question here. Thoughts on hormone replacement therapy for male in his 50s? Is it beneficial?
Hormone replacement therapy is absolutely beneficial, and there are probably hundreds of thousands of studies that talk about this. And the easiest way to think about this is that when you're in your 20s, 30s, and 40s, your body's doing pretty well. If you check your blood every year from your 20s to 50, you'll see that your hormone levels are typically better. Thyroid, DHEA, testosterone, IGF-1, the active component of growth hormone. And when those hormones are good, and let's say you're doing your exercise, you'll get a better outcome with great hormone levels and vitamin levels. As we all age, and in our sometimes 30s, but 40s and 50s, when the hormones drop, you lose focus, concentration, you can gain some weight, cholesterol, triglycerides go up, you don't get that strong result from doing your exercise. So a lot of things within your function decrease. Some may argue that that's expected, and I guess it is, but it's not good. So if we could test your vitamins, minerals, and hormones and walk you back to where you were 10 or 15 years ago and gradually do that, you'll see, wow, I feel better. I have more energy. My sexual drive is great. My mood is great. I'm burning fat better. I really feel the result from the exercise. My hair, skin, nails are doing better. My cholesterol is burning down. We're just walking you back to where you had great levels of those things you absolutely needed your entire life and getting your body into a better zone of function. It's pretty straightforward, common sense.
I'm definitely going to botch this one, but on the stem cell topic, someone asked, can using your own mesenchymal stem cells,
Yep.
Thank you, sir, help biliary dysfunction, liver issues, and rebuild your receptors and endocrine system?
So the overwhelming literature and research on stem cell therapy is that these cells have the ability to become any other cell. So that's the first thing to say. If you put them into your joint, repairs your joint. If you do it intravenous, it can go to your heart, lungs, liver, kidney, pancreas, gut, through your blood. And the way that I describe it is that stem cells sort of circulate on the train, get off the train, set up shop where there's damage, degeneration, or inflammation, attach to the area and become brand new cells of that tissue, like the pancreas for a diabetic. And that's why with one IV over the course of, 2 to 4 or 5 months or so, we have a lot of people that have become non-diabetic because those cells are now in the pancreas, giving the pancreas millions and more of new pancreatic cells that make insulin. And we can look at the insulin levels come up, et cetera. So there are ways to test that in the blood, besides seeing your blood sugar come down. So, yeah, MS, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, stroke, COPD, macular degeneration, diabetic retinopathy, liver, kidney, heart failure, erectile dysfunction. The list is really long as to how your body can repair itself. This isn't something that was manipulated or created or forced. These cells are there. And back, I guess, 160 some odd years ago, doctors called stem cells because they can go and become anything else. And huge amounts of literature over many, 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 many years talk about these other areas of benefits. Last time I looked on clinicaltrial.gov, there were 10,000 studies on stem cell therapy. That's more than anything else on clinicaltrial.gov. It's because stem cells are applicable to so many different degenerative and inflammatory conditions. You wouldn't have 10,000 clinical trials without having wonderful results or efficacy. You'd have a few here or there, and they wouldn't sustain without having great results. So the stem can get to really any part of your body. Sometimes we have to put them into the joint, of course, because you don't have blood flow. You can't do an IV and get it to your joint. Although there are some people that have aches and pains that go away, like rheumatoid, from doing an IV stem cell. For lung issues, COPD and emphysema, we do the IV, and then we have them breathe the stem cells with a nebulizer mist topically to your lungs. So now you're getting a double approach. If we want to treat brain-related and neurologic, so we do intravenous and then a nasal droplet, where you lay down on the table with your chin towards the ceiling. We drip it into your nostril, the stem liquid, drop by drop, very gradually over 10 or 15 minutes. So, and you can see the videos on the website, some terrific results with that, drcalapai.com. So, yes. In a short answer, yes. The long answer, I'm always prone to give the longer answer.
What about for EPIs? And said, can it help with EPI? And
What's EPI?
I don't know. I don't know anything.
People love to throw abbreviations out there, and so EPI.
And what about liver, gallbladder?
Yeah, liver, kidney, heart failure, any of these disorders, those are part of what clinical trials were doing back 15 years ago, when we were looking at this and learning this. So it puts new cells everywhere you have damage or degeneration, so that that general comment, you could extrapolate out to a wide range of areas of benefit.
All right, we'll wait on the EPI question. Sounds tax related,
EPI. Medical term EPI. We should look up that online.
Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency.
Yeah, so liver, kidney, heart failure, and pancreatic damage and insufficiency, you're not making your hormones well enough to be able to handle your sugars. So, yeah, that's the hallmark of diabetes. Any degeneration of the organ would send signals, so stem cells will be attracted there.
All right.
Oh, the PI is pancreatic insufficiency. The E is exocrine.
All right, we're up to date. Is it true that having dementia genes doesn't guarantee anything? It just raises the likelihood?
Any gene raises the likelihood. Some genes are stronger than others. So, yeah.
I forgot where I put my keys. Should I blame my parents or myself?
Well,
the funny's in.
I'm not sure you want to blame your parents for everything. You see that a lot because people now, in this day and age or time, are stressed out with a million different things going on, whether it's the economy and this or that and working and having to work a little bit more, work harder, get second jobs. Your brain is not, as I would call it, the cool, comfy, cushy brain it was 20, 30, 40, 50 some odd years ago. Things were dramatically easier and less stressful. So a lot of people say, I forget where I put this. I forget where I put that. And I tell people, write things down. I'll even put things in my phone on that little yellow pad to remind myself whether I have to go buy something or if we're going to go somewhere. I'll, put reminders in. Other people will use little handheld devices or they'll talk into their phone, remind me to do this or that. It makes sense. Overwhelmingly, if we see that person that has, heavy metal exposure, you want to get the metals out. So we do the intravenous treatment to get rid of the metals, and all of a sudden their brain function comes back. Same thing with NAD, same thing with testosterone, IGF-1, because all of these good hormones that you've always had that are declining affect your brain function. So everything is connected. That's my big generalized statement for the day. Vitamins, minerals, hormones, everything is connected. So if your memory is affected, it could be from heavy metals, infection, virus. It could be from low vitamins, low hormones. The list goes on and on. That's why we test for all those things. It's funny because I see online a lot of companies saying, oh, we do a 100-part blood test. I sat and I said, that's not that much. When I looked at all the tests that we do, which is about 25 pages, 200 different things, sometimes more. So 100 is not a lot, but people who've never heard about the 100 say, wow, it's 100. But, I've been consistently doing 200 for many, many years.
Someone wants to know, how long do stem cells survive once they're injected? Is it something you have to go back for, or do they just keep working like other cells?
Yeah, for most people, and remember, I make a distinction between PRP and stem cells. PRP, taking your blood, spinning it, you have some growth factors, they're used up, and they're gone within a few weeks. The difference with stem is that you're colonizing cells that divide like crazy. So when you're colonizing, there's a long-term benefit that can last over the course of years. We've had people that were diabetic, and people I treated years ago are still non-diabetic. There was a gentleman who came in about, I think, 15 years ago, and we did intravenous. He did really well with it, and he had back issues. We injected his back. And he came in a couple of weeks ago and said, my back's bothering me a little bit. But it's 15 years later, and he's 88, 89 years old. You'd have to expect he's going to have some wear and tear in his back or muscle spasm. So spoke with him, getting MRIs, going to have him go get some massage, stretching to help with the musculoskeletal component. But remember, just as the ligaments that hold your vertebrae in place are tight when you're young, they get lax after you have some wear and tear, some injury. Depending upon sports, sometimes sports will create more wear and tear, little grinding. That can happen in your connective tissue as well. Everybody forgets connective tissue. We know about discs, herniated discs, because they're extremely common, and we use injections to help to stimulate strength within those areas as well. So we know about herniated disc, arthritis, but a lot of people don't talk about the ligaments, tendons, and connective tissue. That's a very integral part of the picture. And in many cases, when we start to work on that, people see some pretty dramatic benefit. But, as I say, with back problems, low back problems, we'll certainly recommend people getting massage, stretching, electric stim, any of the physical therapy modalities, and we'll inject it to create strength and stability in the ligaments. So I always like covering all the bases of the medical issues so that we're not missing out on a therapy that could create benefit. Now, you can't expect electric stim or massage or the hydrocollator, hot packs to grow tissue. It doesn't, but it takes away spasm. It'll take that muscle tightness and open it up a little bit. But sometimes the massage has to be done, a couple times a week initially. So there are good components to all of these things.
Someone's talking in the chat just saying they remember Joe Rogan talking about how he had bad shoulder issues and stem cells took care of it. They're just wondering, do you do
exact same thing?
Stem cells for knee, hip, or shoulder pain?
Absolutely. So when I started the clinical trial back, I think, roughly 15 years ago, the protocols that we had to sign up for, and we had to pay for each protocol besides the fact of paying for being trained to do this. The original one was arthritis, any arthritis of any joint. So we were seeing lots of people come in. And what I did was, knowing that I was going to take the course, I told lots of patients, I spoke about it on my radio show, and we had people kind of lining up to want to do it so that by the time we were all ready and we got the kits, we just started. So initially, we were doing wrists and elbows and shoulders and neck and back and low back and hips and ankles and knees, all of the joints, and got great results with that. Then the second program I bought into, was diabetes. And then the third one was COPD. So I just went from, plan to plan to be able to get into all those clinical trials. So that's why I list all those disorders: MS, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, stroke, liver, kidney, heart failure, etc. Joints. So we were able to do that and document all that. So yeah, your own stem are wonderful for your joints. I'm not going to say that if you have your hip socket worn down and it's not a round ball anymore and the bone is completely breaking down, that stem are going to be able to, compare to doing a replacement. And some people do need replacement. It's just that without having that really horrible cartilage destruction or bone destruction, a lot of people that opt to do stem do really well.
Someone's just saying it's amazing how mainstream stem cells have become, yet the FDA is just behind the ball.
So that's the way this weird world turns. There's a famous man named Schopenhauer. I have to comment on his, he made a couple of great comments. He was a philosopher. Let me see if I could find this.
Oh, give us some philosophy, Doc.
Schopen. Let's see. Schopenhauer quotes.
How many stem cells would it take to fix the damage from Thanksgiving dinner?
Might be a few. It just depends on how bad you did. Oh, where is it? He's made a lot of quotes.
I mean, those philosophers, they wrote a lot down.
I think it was about
What's
science.
his name? I'll try to help.
Schopenhauer.
Arthur Schopenhauer?
Yeah, Arthur Schopenhauer. Top 25 quotes. And this is going back a really long time. Here it is. Old truth passes through 3 stages. First, it's ridiculed. Everyone's heard of that. Oh, you take vitamins, you're a wacko. Whatever. Second, it's violently opposed. Third, it's accepted as being self-evident. So that means the people who don't like what you're going to do or say are going to ridicule you, oppose what you say and do, and then, oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, of course, that's right. And you can look at that in any realm of medicine. Many years ago, and still drug companies make drugs that after a while, when it's in the population, show horrible outcome. And they won't admit it until, enough people have bad side effects to it. Look at the opioid issue. So you have to find the truth based upon fact and research, not what other people, typically say. I've had people say, oh, that drug is a horse dewormer. And I said, you can't ridicule a drug, ivermectin, that's a Nobel Prize winning drug for humans. So you're ridiculing it, you're violently opposing it, and now you're saying, oh, well, yeah, it's good. It's just, there's always an agenda behind negating something that's healthy. There's always an agenda behind pushing something, that's costly, because someone's going to benefit from that. You've got to read and learn and make up your own mind. People will say, oh, you should do this, you shouldn't do that, in a blanket fashion. Look at all the injectables that we've been talking about now and what RFK is doing, whether you talk about COVID or the others for children. Push, push, push. Oh, no, it couldn't be that. It's got to be something completely different, like genetic abnormalities just popping up in every segment of the population all over the place, which is impossible.
Yeah. Except for our boys.
The Amish.
The Amish.
That's right. So people have to be more aware, read, learn. I listen to podcasts like this one, listen to people like Rogan, follow RFK Jr. There are a bunch of guys out there that are good, but go online and research and read and learn, because without that, you're not getting the right information. A lot of the mechanism of the traditional approach is just putting you on the big thing, and not stepwise intelligently progressing through what should be done before they jump to the big thing. So yeah, doctors may want to do surgery on you, and we've seen this thousands of times. They don't do an MRI because the MRI would show you wouldn't need the surgery, but they go in anyway to clean it up, which leaves people with some defect anyway. So we always get MRIs on joints to be able to see exactly what the joint looks like, and then we can define, what they're dealing with and what their need is. And in many cases, doing the stem into the joint gives great result, and a person may not need to have that surgery at that point and may need it many years down the road, but
Someone said it's definitely not about safety. Stem cells would wipe out billions in drug sales. Am I wrong?
absolutely, positively.
Someone-
It's what could be better for your body than using your own cells to help to repair yourself? Why wouldn't that be one of the first things that, all reasonable and intelligent doctors talk about?
FDA was approving transgender surgeries, but a stem cell injection that might help someone avoid the knife is considered experimental.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yep.
You guys have been watching. They approved drugs with 45 side effects, but stem cells, your own cells, are treated like nuclear weapons.
Yeah, they just don't want them to come along and change their control of the game. And I find it similar to the whole political arena with Doge and with the USAID garbage nonsense. So for many years, factions of the Democratic Party have been creating what outwardly would seem, we've got to help this and help that. And all of a sudden, they create a bill or they create something that raises a lot of money, and they're taking a ton of our tax money and sending it all over the place to make believe that they're helping someone in other countries. Yet I would bet the farm that nothing's really getting to those countries, and there's proof of that. And it's just making its way back to the politicians. That's why one of the major reasons they hate Trump and Musk and people that are trying to protect us and protect our country. It's trillions of dollars that are spent. I've always wondered why we're taxed every which way from every angle. You get taxed when you get paid. You buy something, it's taxed. You sell something, it's taxed. You inherit something, it's taxes, because these idiots that are running the game are just taking all that money and doing what they want with it. And they may be sending that money to horrible regimes. Look at Waltz. And what did Trump call him? A retard?
Something like that.
Does anybody disagree with that? Has anybody heard him speak? He's not an intelligent person, but he was put in place to do what he's done, to allow, so many billions of dollars to be stolen and moved around. And he's making believe, he's got that look on his face that he doesn't think, it's like he's surprised. We know what they're doing. They're doing this on purpose. And what is it, $1 billion or so many $1 billion to the Somali?
Oh, yeah.
And I think it was Obama who wanted to and effectively shipped a lot of Somalis into that area to be able to,
Somalia.
get into the elections and to take over. This is what's happening, people. Whether you like the things that people say or not, you have to look at the end result of what's occurring.
All right, you made this one happen, but everyone's saying deport Elon Omar.
Yeah.
I support it.
Yep. Get him out.
Trump actually, he said something about that, but it's went through he definitely suggested it.
People that are not pro-America should not hold public office in America.
Especially if they illegally made it here.
This is the proof that we can't have that, because they verbally have said, and their allegiance stands with their country and their people from another country. You can't do that. You can never have people do that and choose another country over America. Those people should not ever be allowed in politics for this country.
Someone's suggesting, how come the insurance companies haven't gotten behind this? I feel like they would save so much money doing stem cell.
So that's a great question, and so many people ask that. So the only thing that I could think is that there's this big freight train running down the tracks, and it creates a massive amount of money for a lot of people. Insurance companies, doctors, hospitals, and they don't want to upset the cart. They don't want to pay out initially X amount of money to be able to save a lot of money down the road. I mean, it's just common sense. You'd think, hey, start covering it, And then you'd see a lot of this change. And over the course of 5-10 years, you would see less people on medications, maybe a lot of people non-diabetic, less people spending a lot of money on all sorts of other drugs, etc. So they're not going to fly in the face of who controls the game, and the one with all the money controls the game, and everybody knows who that is.
Yeah. And I'd imagine, this is no, I don't have proof here, but I would imagine, these big insurance companies, they probably get kickbacks from these big pharma companies for writing off certain drugs.
So I don't know how that all works, and I don't have any inside ideas about that, but I can tell you that over the many years that I've seen and been involved in medicine, 39 years, I guess now, this will be my 40th year because I graduated medical school in 86, so within a month. What's happened is that insurance companies are paying doctors less per visit. So doctors have to scramble to get more patients in to be able to maintain the ability to pay for their expenses. And single doctor offices now are going the way of the dinosaur because it's hard to be able to pay your bills, whether it's rent and salaries for staff and this and that and supply, a lot of things. When you accept insurance and those reimbursement fees are just bottoming out. The insurance companies don't want to pay more than a couple of bucks for the visit. And years ago, when they paid a decent amount, maybe $60 or $80 for a visit, longer visits, a little bit more, and now they just want to be able to pay a couple of bucks for the visit. Doctors can't handle that. So even in the realm of this happening over time, doctors in that world are spending less time with their patients. They're quickly throwing them on drugs to try to change the symptom. They're not digging to find out the cause of the problem. They don't have time to take courses and learn about other things that you can do. They're hiring PAs and nurse pracs to increase the volume coming in, so they're trying to get that income back up to where it was. So it hurts the patient. It certainly doesn't help the doctor. It helps the drug company and the insurance company because the insurance companies are not paying out what they used to pay. And there are people who are hardcore actuarians and looking at every little penny and every little thing that's going on. And they keep changing codes every year, making it confusing for you. And doctors are putting people on more and more meds because the quick thing to do is to get them on the med. So I've seen that. I know that. I've never done it, but I've seen it and I know it. So that's how the pharmaceutical realm does well. Insurance company does well. Doctor, patient, screwed.
Yeah, it's disgusting. And thanks to AI, I was able to look up that question I was just covering. And it says, yes, insurance companies via pharmacy benefit managers receive substantial payments, often called rebates, from drug companies for favorable formulary placement covering certain drugs.
Wow.
Amazing.
It's worse than the mob. The mob is nothing. The mob are Boy Scouts. No offense to any of my friends that may be in an organization that may be slightly
pro-Italian organization,
hidden or pro-Italian. You ever see my cousin Vinny, My Blue Heaven with Steve Martin?
Yeah, of course.
Great movie.
Oh.
His accent, his whole presentation was perfect. So that's typically what happens, what goes on. So you've got to take it to yourself to learn about your body. And this is, of course, what we recommend and what I'm doing. Eat right, exercise, fine-tune your vitamins, minerals, and hormones, and get your body to be as healthy as humanly possible. Get rid of all the bad, put in all the good. There have been studies about Chobani yogurt that I've seen now, and you can look this up, Chobani yogurt having hormone-affecting chemicals in it.
Oh, great.
This has popped up a bunch.
I thought I was doing so good with the Chobani.
I thought they were great. I loved it, but I just started looking at that. And then there's some weird chemical in that white non-cream stuff in Oreos that's a risk. Titanium in some fashion. Titanium oxide.
Class action lawsuits going on right now.
Against Chobani.
Yeah.
So, kind of my job to find this information, tell you about it. I would look at other, manufacturers for yogurt. I think Oikos is very good. And Oikos has a very nice 30-gram protein drink where it's yogurt and protein. Very nice for midday. If you don't want to eat a big lunch or a big breakfast, you could take that little yogurt protein drink. It's good for you. But keep reading and researching in any of those products that you might be using that have issues. I've told people to look at all the different protein powders or drinks that they're taking in and look to see if there's any, contaminants or any issues with it. You have to look. If you don't look, you won't know.
Someone's in the comment talking about Campbell's. Did you hear what happened with their CEO?
Yep.
What is it?
I don't want to say I'm surprised, but it's a little bit of a shock that they'd allow that crap and they'd put it into the food. And then someone from the company said, no, we have the best ingredients, man-made whatever.
Campbell's CEO addresses misinformation about our chicken. They're trying to say it's all fake. Like, well, you fired him, and he was the head of the company. I think he knows a couple things.
Yeah. Yep. It seems like every company is taking shortcuts, food preparation as well. And how many times do you see something that says, oh, bread here has got 40 ingredients, and in Europe it's got 3 or 4? Or I don't recommend cereal ever unless it's cereal without the grains in it, made from seeds and nuts and flax, good sources. 7 Sundays, I think, is a good cereal. And there are a few companies out there. You can look from online. You can look at them at Whole Foods. Even Uncle Giuseppe's had some grain-free cereal. It was a nice, simple ingredient list. So I get some of that. I try, and I tell patients, this one tastes like cardboard. So if you like cardboard, that's good for you. But this one tastes pretty good. So I'm not a cereal person. I've never liked the grains and stuff. So, look at every ingredient in every product that you buy and find out whether or not it's going to be a problem for you.
Someone said, soon enough, we're not going to know if a porterhouse is made in a lab thanks to Bill Gates. Don't go after my porterhouse, okay?
Yeah, no, they're going after everything. They're saying now that the tick exposure that makes you sick when you have red meat. What's that called?
Yeah, my cousin
and
actually got it.
That's related to what Gates has been doing.
Really? That's good. What's that tick called?
It's got a weird name.
Yeah.
Look up red meat tick.
Lone Star tick. Amblyoma.
Yeah, what's that? The weird thing that they're calling it. The reaction to the red meat because of the tick.
Yeah, my cousin had, it lasted almost a year, but he couldn't have chicken. He couldn't have anything. He got his whole face blew up. Mm-hmm. He was so scared that he was never going to be able to eat meat again.
This is bioengineering stuff, people. Are there anybody in the audience, don't believe conspiracy theories? Because I have to make a comment. They told us, oh, conspiracy theorists, oh, there's no, cloud seeding. There's no spraying the cloud. There is. There's no this, there's no that. Oh, global warming is going to destroy us and the water's going to rise and elevate. And
Manhattan's underwater by 2020.
Yeah, Florida will be gone. Europe will be gone by a 10-foot increase in water, which never happened. And then every now and then you see somebody who puts a funny picture of the Blarney Stone, Plymouth Rock, or some major obvious geologic thing, and the water hasn't changed at all, or lighthouses all over the world and castles and such. So that's not happening. In the 70s, we're running out of gas. In the 80s, we're going to freeze to death. And the 90s was something else. And someone wrote this up, that all these things, and if you didn't believe in them, that you were crazy. But none of those things that they said happened or came true. It's just, and then someone said it's another way to raise taxes, to be able to take your money and spend it on what they want to spend it on. Right. It's insane.
And the chat's talking about the Maui fires. If when they want to make it, they'll make it.
Right.
Take all your land.
Has a fire not burned down trees that are right in the path, or didn't burn down houses that had blue roofs,
Or the blue cars, everything blue.
There was an interview, and someone was talking with Biden, and he said, I didn't know he was on the mic, oh yeah, look at that, all the houses that were blue and blah, 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 they didn't get hit, and, they're talking about it. They knew exactly what they were doing. And people think that we don't have the capability of having, forward-thinking machinery or devices or planes or things like that. One of them, as someone admitted in the Army, was there was a plane with a laser on it, and that's what they think created all those fires.
Oh, yeah. Directed energy weapons.
Right. And then how do you start fires in Canada at 10 different places all at the exact same time and call it a wildfire? If one starts and spreads, that could be a wildfire, but not 10 different places that are all start at the same time within an hour. They're all the same level within 2, 3, 5 hours. This is what the insane people are doing.
Our chat is overwhelmingly, pro-conspiracy theory, by the way.
So I said this to somebody, and they looked at me for a minute, and I just waited until it clicked. I said, if you were a bad person, a nefarious person, and you wanted to do something bad, you'd create a conspiracy theory concept with it before you did your bad thing, then you could blame it on conspiracy theory. And some people will say, oh, no, it's conspiracy theory, just to cloud the picture. That's what they've done for thousands of years. And people say, well, the first conspiracy theory was JFK. And, of course, there's so much evidence now that that was completely done and controlled by the big Texan guy and the three-letter agency that, had the ability to make all that stuff happen all within that period of time. The MK Ultra and the brainwashing of so many different people. I go back to thinking of Caesar. Caesar was killed, right there in next to the amphitheater, in Rome back in the day, and there was a conspiracy to kill him. And what did people think? One person wanted to do it. A lot of people spoke about it. They killed him for their political reason. The same for Martin Luther King, the same for Lincoln, the same for Kennedy, for Bobby Kennedy. You can't call everything a conspiracy theory, especially when over time it's proven.
Someone wants to know if you saw the Tucker Carlson interview regarding chemtrails. Very informative.
Tucker's great. I think he's a very well-spoken person. I think he's extremely intelligent. I think every chance I get to watch him, I do. I like him. I like Knowles. I like Candace, and what she's talking about lately is it's blowing your mind. But you have to understand, we as regular people live our lives. We do the right thing. There are people out there who want to control and who want to kill and who want to confuse and manipulate and control money and do this or that. There's a lot of bad people out there when they get into positions of power and they can control money. They don't care. They'll do whatever they want to do. And I believe what she's saying has a lot of foundation to it. That the people that were there at that organization didn't want him to be there anymore, and the people that wanted to control that organization in the minds of all the young people who are following it that helped, the president win, they're all vying for, reach to those people. And there are people in a military realm that want that access and want those people. They want everybody to love them because they get more money from the government because of that. So I think there's validity to that. I can't, of course, say with 100% certainty, but I think there's a lot of validity to that because I know the minds of people that are crazy or insane. And it's what they've done. There are probably many thousands of people over many years that have had this idea of just being a complete anarchist and, control. So it's a shame, but it's true.
Yeah, someone's saying we must look at all the donors in TPUSA. And
exactly.
Someone else said, we cannot trust the French now. # Candace.
So, yeah. Look, you can't trust people in power in these high levels of power in these countries because they're drunk with power.
Especially when you look at, Macron's wife.
Well, I mean, he had to think that if he's parading this person around that, someone's going to say, and why would that person wear a bathing suit where you can clearly see, the twig and berries? Why would that person be by a pool in a bathing suit? I mean, yeah, you want to wear a bathing suit, but don't do it in public where people could take pictures and then start this whole thing, just have a person sort of sit back in the, in the shadows to some extent. But they want to be out there and out front, and someone's going to say, and, she exposed that.
Someone said she could use some stem cell.
Yeah. World's going crazy.
It's going crazy.
So once again, a little bit of a chat on our wellness and longevity program. We created this for Medicare patients initially, and this includes a few different arms of a process, an algorithm. So patients that we already have in the practice, we're doing this on. So we get their blood work done, review the blood work, we create their vitamins perfectly, vitamin pack, retest their vitamins in a month to prove perfect vitamin levels and hormones. With the remote patient monitoring and remote therapeutic monitoring, we're able to make sure that if their blood pressure is a concern, they get a blood pressure cuff to take home. They check their blood pressure every day, press a button. We get that showing up in their page in their folder in my computer. So there's no doctor in the world who wouldn't love this, because they want to be able to see Mrs. Jones' blood pressure for a year as opposed to 3 times a year and not know what to do. Same thing with blood sugar, heart rate, rhythm, weight, all of these things. So the shift is to be able to have people at home do a couple of things. We get it. Mrs. Jones, you're doing great. You lost weight. Your blood pressure's come down. Let's back you off one of your medications. It's terrific. It's the best way to be able to really understand what's going on with patients that's never been around before. And now with AI, you can compare that blood pressure trajectory or a person's brain speed or their blood tests and see how they compare to other people. So it's kind of nice to have all this information and this data. It just gives us a better way to fix things before they become a problem. Remote therapeutic monitoring as well for a variety of conditions. There's even a little pill box that you get that if a person forgets to take their pill, we are notified, Mrs. Jones, you didn't take your blood pressure pill today. We notice your blood pressure's up a little bit this morning. Can you please take it now? And then we're going to watch and see. And please check your blood pressure every hour for the next 5 or 6 hours and send that to us. It's brilliant, So it relies beautifully on telemedicine, telehealth, phone calls to the patient, immediate. It relies beautifully on data just coming from these devices right to us. So I've spent a lot of time looking at blood pressure cuffs or blood pressure cuffs. There's not 100 different types. They're all good. The medical ones that are approved by the FDA and Medicare likes, those are the ones we have to use, and they're better. Glucometers, same sort of thing. Sometimes you'd rather have the glucometer device that's a continuous monitor on your arm. It just gives us every bit of blood sugar around the clock, so that's a great reading. The watch can look at your pulse, oxygen, do a little EKG, but now the ring, and people have seen some of these things, and a lot of people out there have them. Some of them are used more for fitness and not as much medical, but now there are medical rings that the FDA has approved where you wear the ring and you get your temperature, you get your pulse, you get your pulse ox, your oxygen levels, tracks how many steps you're taking, walking. It's all in this little ring. We're gathering tons and tons of information. So in many cases, we like that as opposed to maybe using the watch. But we'll offer both, and if the people want to watch, they can get a smartwatch. The simple, small smartwatch, the same thing that the ring will do, but it just gives us a beautiful look at what your parameters are. So it's another way to keep you in a far greater health state. So those are things that are covered by Medicare. The other things that we offer, vitamin IV, stem cells, even methylene blue, which is a prescription that's great to help to improve mitochondria. NAD, which is important for brain function, helps to repair your cells or even repair DNA. Rapamycin, an mTOR inhibitor that helps with anti-aging concerns. So there are a lot of things that insurance doesn't cover that we could also offer, as we've done for years. So it's just a more comprehensive way of thinking about this and doing this, and we'll have brochures and paperwork to support all of that. Then we're going to switch that over to non-Medicare patients so that if they want the cuff, the glucometer, the watch, the ring, we can do the same thing and then track Those people who can do a lot of exercise and activity, we may push them and see what their parameters show. So there's a lot of good to come of this.
Yeah, someone just said, this would be great for my mother. She's getting older and has AFib. I always get nervous that she's not taking her medicines.
So beautiful case in point. I mean, you couldn't get more apropos than this. If we have the ring device on or the watch on and we're tracking the heart rate and rhythm, if it starts to go a little bonkers, we get notified. So any run of AFib for more than, 20 seconds or something, we would get notified as well. Cardiologist gets notified and we could address it right then and there. Not waiting a few days for it to get worse or God forbid something happens and you throw a clot and now you're in the ER and Medicare's got to pay $100,000 for an ER visit. So it's preventive medicine. It's almost immediate medicine. So as this builds up and the volume of patients that we have together on this increases, I either have to do one of two things: hire more nurse pracs to be able to do all the phone calls, which is not hard to do. Or there's a company out there, I spoke to this gentleman, his name is Sai, about a month or two ago, and they have telemedicine PAs, nurse pracs, doctors. You can pick whatever you want. Of course, the doctor gets paid more, but I would hire that company to do a lot of the phone calls, and everything they do gets integrated right into my computer, into my electronic medical record, easy to view everything that they're doing in their comments. They have a portal. It's a genius process. So I'm looking at stepwise to bring this as tightly and efficiently as possible, but then, bringing on the big guns as I need, because everybody loves the idea. I haven't had someone who said, nah, I don't like the idea. And with the non-Medicare patients, in a similar fashion, you're just tracking yourself. Why not?
One comment here, slightly off topic, but you mentioned methylene blue. They said that their brother gave him some. Nobody warned me that I was going to pee blue. I almost passed out. I didn't know that was a side effect.
Yep. It's like a blue-green sort of liquid. Of course, your urine's yellow, and then with blue, it turns greenish. So, I think look at the literature on it. It's great.
Yeah. Same
thing with rapamycin.
Someone said, sign me up for the ring.
Yeah, we love the idea. Now the issue we have, and it's not a big issue, we're talking to the companies that make the rings because I want to get the most things available for data. So if one ring just has an oxygen and a pulse, that's not enough. I want as many different parameters as I can get on the ring. One of the rings, I think, has 20 parameters on it. So now we're speaking with the companies that make them, and then, of course, we want to be able to get everything for a good price. So, but it's happening. It's already happening. It's a done deal. It's just going to take another week to get some final information. But we're already getting started with the blood pressure cuffs, the glucometers. There's a company in Switzerland that's making glasses that you'd wear, and the sidebar of the glasses reads your brain speed. So that's going to be pretty awesome when that comes out. Another company's coming out with a bracelet, a bigger version of the ring to be able to monitor all of these things. So this will evolve over time. Maybe the ring will be the perfect thing right off the bat, and who knows, maybe 6 months, a year down the road, the bracelet's going to be better. I don't know, but we'll keep on top of that, of course.
They're going to read my thoughts, Doc. Talk about the glasses.
That's right. X-ray vision and all that. Can't be far away. Science fiction.
Someone just wants to know, does that give off any radiation or anything?
No, zero. No radiation. Nothing. It's picking up your pulse from little sensors in the ring or in the back of the watch. Look at the rings. I mean, they're really cool. I started looking at them a couple of weeks ago and how they work. And they're able to show you on the inside. They have all these little sensors. It's pretty cool. I think it's a terrific way to, and for me, and maybe not for all the other doctors, but for me to keep my patients in ultimate perfect shape, because we're looking at everything else. If a doctor gets set up on this, and we could train other doctors to do this and kind of put them under our fold or something like that, teach them how to do it, would they be Would they know about testing for vitamins, recommending and retesting? No. Would they know about testing for heavy metals and getting rid of the metals? No. Would they necessarily be looking at correcting, hormone deficiency and the same sort of things that I do? No. It'll still be good to track the pressure and the sugar. Would they be telling people to do a low-carb diet that are diabetic and getting to exercise, correct their vitamins, minerals, hormones, and, stem cell? No. But there'll still be somewhat of a leg up on the basics of it. But then if I can teach doctors to do the things that I do, then you have some really big changes that occur with the patient. So that's what we're, looking at doing. It's fun. The fun part is watching it work. The fun part is putting it together. And we're going to have a landing page soon with a QR code. This is just our website. But we're working on that and some brochures. But the fun part is watching it work, finding the device, utilizing it, changing the picture, enhancing the patient's benefit, bringing the weight down, getting them off med. It's great. The hard part is making sure that with coding and the insurance and the appropriate diagnosis, and we have a team that's worked on that, all of those diagnoses come through in the right sequence. Medicare and the insurance companies want to have sequence for things. They don't tell you in advance, here's how to do it. You have to go and dig in and figure it out yourself. So what it appears to be is that there's got to be some visit beforehand, explaining all the medical problems, detailing everything, blood work, further detailing and proving certain things, a review of the blood work, and then putting the patient on one of the appropriate devices. And then as that happens, the company calls to set up the device, and there's a code for that, which they send to us, to our biller. Then there's the code for the device itself, besides setting the thing up. And then they'll call once a month. My staff or myself will call once a month to make sure everything's going well. Within a couple months, we may repeat abnormal blood work because now we have them on a plan to lower their cholesterol, raise up their vitamin D, et cetera. So we'll recheck, piecemeal some of the blood work, do a review of that. So it's just kind of putting things together in cadence. But, it's a genius idea. I wish it was around years ago.
Yeah, the chat is overwhelmingly supporting this. Looking forward to the landing page.
Yeah, so we'll have that, I think, this week.
Yeah, and it should be in the same QR because it'll be, once you go to the website, it should pop right up.
Yeah, I'll coordinate everybody with the QR people and the website people and the RPM people. Try to make it all as easy as possible. I was thinking about getting a QR code for my hand because, if I go out to dinner,
get it tatted.
QR code. Ay. So, yeah, it's really nice too. I don't think that ever before there were other groups of people, some doctors, some PhDs, some non-doctors, diving so headfirst into this data collection world. It didn't exist, 10, 15, 20 years ago or before, to try to make all of this work so that we get the data, we can protect the patients, prevent the illness, prevent the ER visits, et cetera. So there are a lot of companies trying to come up with the best watch, the best ring, the best glasses. I'm told there's a company in Europe that wants to make a chair that when you sit in it, electrically it'll check your circulation in your legs, it'll check this, that. A pad you put on your chest, you can get on your exercise bike. You could have a little medical room where you have a chair, you sit in your chair, put the glasses on, it reads everything, goes right to the doctor. Then you get on the exercise bike and you pedal the bike, fast, slow, do whatever you want. It's like a stress test. So if you do that once a week and we're getting all these readings and we know that you're in a perfect zone, why not? It's a genius idea. But again, brought to you by not the physician per se, but people who are engineers and inventors and have taken this little ring and stuffed it with so many cool things and, receptors that you can get this information. So it's like different worlds are coming together to take medicine from, I don't want to say the antique realm, but an older realm into a brand new realm. You know?
It's a new world.
And if you think of all the people, and many of my family members included over many years, who have had either arrhythmias or a stroke or had this or that, with all this monitoring, if you can start to see these things early and fix them, you're talking about significant longevity. That's why we call it the Wellness Longevity Program. And then for the non-Medicare, we'll probably call it the Stay Strong Program or something like that. You know, we want everybody to do a good amount of exercise every day, eat right, vitamins, all the things that we know will create longevity. So,
huge.
Cool stuff. Let me also make a little shout out to our friends at Moolah Farm, my favorite new place to get food.
I'm going to try to get over there Sunday.
You should. Yeah, they're in Huntington. w.moolahfarm.org. They're on Instagram, Moolah Farm. Go take a look. We've had a bunch of their food so far. Excuse me. Every couple of days I go by there and see what they got. But now, unfortunately, I have to go get for other people. So I got some of the milk for my friend and his wife to try, and I got this and that. I got chickens, brought chickens to my mom, and chicken breasts, and this and that. And we had sausage that they made, homemade sausage with 3 ingredients in it. There's nothing else bad in it like you might find somewhere else in a store where the food's got to be kept there for a long time, you know, like preservatives. This is all beautifully natural things and all done to the perfect letter of the law between the eggs and such. And I've been telling everybody to buy that Emerald Lagasse air fryer. It's like 24 different things you can do with it. It's like a convection oven, an air fryer, a grill. I mean, it has all these things. I bought it on Amazon. It's so easy to cook and prepare things that it's nice and it's simple. You know, people are running around all over the place, or their kids are running around all over the place. You teach a kid how to, you know, put some chicken legs or some vegetables into this device, and in minutes later, it's ready to go. It takes nothing to clean it. It's a great idea.
And healthy.
Yeah, totally healthy. And using these foods that have no chemicals and such, no preservatives, everything besides, and she makes baked goods. They made a organic raisin sourdough bread, completely out of this world, with a little bit of butter, with honey in it, the honey butter. Phenomenal. So, yeah, they have a wide range of things. Apple pie, blueberry pie, raspberry bars, eggs. The milk is terrific. Pure jam. The yogurt's amazing. The ice cream is terrific. So a lot of great things. All the different cuts of beef and meat. And we interviewed her last Saturday in the program here, and they showed the farm upstate. And now they're looking to move into a nice, bigger space.
Oh, I still got it here.
And to increase the, there you go, increase the volume of the animals that they have. Bone broth is really good. But yeah, Moolah Farm, MOOLA farm.org. Look them up on Instagram, etc. Give them a call. Okay, friends, thank you for tuning in today. God bless you all. Have a wonderful day. Give us a call at the office, 516-794-0404. If you have questions or you want to make an appointment, the website, drcalapai.com, drcalapai.com. QR code, you can click on that. Let me see if that works. I think it worked last time I did it. Can I do it off of this?
Yeah.
There it is.
Oh. It's dead.
Uh-oh. Not good. What happened?
Oh, we're going to have to ask your team. That's out of my hands.
Yep. Got to figure that one out.
Going for the big show.
Oh, well. drcalapai.com. We'll fix that as soon as we can. All righty, friends. Be well. Look forward to talking to you. We'll be back here live tomorrow on the amazing Rumble and Company. Our big show. Our really big show. All right. Thank you, Frankie. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.